Hello, this warm summer day, wherever you might be, even if it's not warm there. This is Uncle Russ. This is this week's episode of Uncle Russ's Comic Talk. We have some great books for sale. Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, a long-running title, and we've got some key issues for you. We're also going to talk about newspaper comic strips, the syndicated newspaper comic strips, and how they can be collected in book format today. Stay tuned.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Ming Chen from AMZ's Comic Book Men, and this is a Lock 22 production.
First up this week, the first of 8 issues we're featuring this week of Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man. This is issue number 24 from 1978, featuring the very first appearance of the Hypno Hustler, a disco-based villain. What more could you ask for in 1978? Written by Bill Mantlo, drawn by Frank Springer. This is the newsstand edition. This is worth every penny of $34.99. And moving along to 1981, a little Walter Simonson drawn samurai action gracing the cover of Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, issue number 54. That cover is by Frank Miller and Walt Simonson. The words inside are written by Roger Stern, the plot and the pictures from Marie Severin, with the artistic finishes by Jim Mooney. All classic names, important names in the history of comic book history. Here's what I think is a beautiful cover. Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, issue number 67 from 1982. Once again, written by Bill Mantlo. The interior art and that cover by Ed Hannigan and Alan Milgrom. Two names that you don't hear on the top of many favorites lists, but two men who are so instrumental and so important in the impact they left upon the industry, not just Marvel, but other companies too. This features the villain Boomerang. This is a newsstand edition. This is $4.99. And dipping into the very wide and varied rogues gallery of Spider-Man, here's a fan favorite, Dr. Octopus, Otto Octavius. This cover is by the great Al Milgrom, newsstand edition of Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, 1978. I beg your pardon, issue number 78. Published in 1983. Bill Mantlo did the script, Al Milgrom did the layouts, and the finished art by the great Jim Mooney. Once again, only $4.99. And if you want the conclusion to that story, you need this. The very next issue, again, 1983, a newsstand edition, Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, issue number 79, The Final Battle. Of course, it wasn't the final battle, but it was this time. They really meant it at the time. Spidey versus Doc Ock, the final battle. This can be yours also for a mere $9.99. And more Spider-Man goodness. Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, issue number 81. The newsstand edition featuring Cloak and Dagger, one of the greatest teams of the 1980s. Script by Bill Mantlo, with Al Milgrom and Jim Mooney covering the artwork. This one also features the late, great Frank Castle, better known as the Punisher. Is he dead, or is he not really dead? We found out, if you read current stuff, what happened to Frank Castle, and I'm not going to give you any spoilers. But he's in this book, along with Cloak and Dagger. This is a very nice Al Milgrom cover, $4.99. And we have an extra-sized issue number 100. 100th issue anniversary, featuring The Spot. If you've seen the latest Spider-Man movie, the animated one from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you know about The Spot. Here he appears once again. He's supposed to be dead. He gets killed all the time. He always comes back. We never know why. Al Milgrom, writer and penciler, with Joff Isherwood and the much maligned Vince Colletta. This features Black Cat and the Kingpin with an Al Milgrom cover. $4.99, and it's yours. And finally, this week, we have issue number 101 of Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man. Beautiful John Byrne cover. This is a book that normally sells from anywhere to 50 to 100 bucks. There is a very minor flaw. You can link to the description in the video. You can see close-up pictures. There is an interior page, two interior pages that seem to have a flaw, a small hole in the paper. It's in the white margins of the story. It doesn't affect the story, but it is a minor flaw that makes it less than very good condition. Anyway, this is a wonderful story. Carrie Burkett, the writer, Juan Alcantara doing the inks, and that beautiful John Byrne cover. This can be yours, and it is a steal, $24.99. I know it's not officially Free Comic Book Day, but you know that one day every week could be a free comic book day for you? We have an exciting and interesting contest that we'll be announcing more details about on next week's show. In the weeks to come, there's going to be a way for you, the viewer, to answer a question. And if you answer correctly, if you're the first one, you will win a free comic book. Stay tuned. This week and next week on Uncle Russ's Comic Talk, I'm going to be discussing a part of the comic book collecting fandom, which is not as prominent as it used to be, doesn't get as much press, but for my generation, it highlights the importance of the syndicated newspaper comic strip. It has to do with the types of comic book artists, which are my favorites, which will oftentimes will not be on a current fan's top 10 list. I'm talking about people like Irv Novick, Frank McLaughlin, Frank Robbins, Don Perlin, who worked in that era, who learned a lot about sequential storytelling, about making the art have just enough detail and flourish to keep you moving to the next panel. In the 1990s, I sound like a grumpy old fart here, but it's true. Too much of comic book art became like a series of pinup poses. No flow. My love of the comic strip goes way back to the 1930s. Two of my favorites, Mandrake the Magician and here, The Phantom, both created by Lee Falk. Lee Falk and lived from 1911 to 1999. Artwork by Ray Moore. This was copyrighted by King Features Press, which is still around. They own the rights to Mandrake and Phantom. Also other characters you know of, such as Flash Gordon and Jungle Jim. Lots of fun. Very good artwork, very good storytelling, very much grounded in the 1930s, 1940s era. Highly recommend. One of my favorite publishers that has an ongoing commitment of many decades of reprinting classic syndicated comic strip material is Fantagraphics Books. This is Peanuts Every Sunday, which features every single Sunday comic strip of Peanuts by Charles Schulz from 1991 to 1995. This is a strip that lasted from 1942 to 2000, so the entire story is available in many different formats. You'll find other collections. This is an excellent publisher. They have made an ongoing commitment to keeping classic material in print. And the late, great Charles Schulz, 1922 to the year 2000. This was a very, very classic one. We all grew up on Peanuts. One of the favorites. You can collect the entire strip if you wish to. Many cartoons, movies, musical comedies. Over $1 billion in merchandise was earned by Charles M. Schulz with Peanuts licensed material and comic strips. That's nothing to sneeze at. $1 billion worth. That's what you call a good seller. All right. Having grown up and appreciated the classic era of comic strips, I had gotten out of the habit of reading the so-called funny papers in the newspaper. I was not aware that there was exciting and creative work. I began to read on the top 10 lists of many critics and writers that appreciated the same classic era of comic strips that I did, raving about a Canadian comic strip called For Better or Worse. This one is a Canadian strip by Lynn Johnston. This is volume 4 of the Sundays and the Dailies. printed in color and black and white, respectively. This is from the years 1990 to 93. Now, what's unique about this is it's excellent, excellent writing. This is a strip that began in 1979, ran all the way to 2008. It's about a real life family, well, a fictional family based upon a real life family that progresses and ages in real time from 1979 to 2008. It's a unique concept. It's a wonderful, wonderful series. No superheroes, no science fiction, no horror, no hard-boiled detective action, just real life, reality-based comedy, and some wonderful, very, very moving and powerful stories. I can't recommend this strip enough. Lynn Johnston is right up there with Alex Raymond and Lee Falk and many other people, in my opinion, as a master artist of the genre. Hopefully you found something that you liked today. If you'd like to purchase any of these books, check for the links in the description below. There'll be more books for sale every week. Lot 22 sellers on eBay. Lot 22. Have a good day. Luck.